Welcome to the How to Write a Book podcast, the show that helps you plan, write, and publish your book, even if you're a beginner or just feel like one. Now, for your host, she's written over a dozen books and helps others bring their books to life. Here she is, Maciel.
Welcome back to the How to Write a Book podcast. What is up, everyone? It is December. We are at the end of December, and it is the end of 2021. Wow. Can you believe just how fast this year went? 2022 is literally around the corner. It is, for me, at the time of this recording, the day after tomorrow. And that's kind of, mind-blowing. You think about it and you're like, I could have sworn that I was planning some goals just yesterday, which was January, and now it's December and the year has flown by. And y'all, if you've been sticking with me here, as you have, thank you so much. For all you listeners, you guys are amazing. Thank you for showing up for this show, because without you, it's just so wonderful to know that you're on the other side and you're listening and you're getting something from this show, which is the whole point of it. So I'm really glad. I'm really happy to know that you're out there. So when I'm doing the planning and everything, I'm just like, oh gosh, I cannot believe this has gone by so easily and so quickly. But, I already lost the train of thought there. I was so happy to thank you guys. But anyways, so now it's the end of 2021 and it has been a really intense year. As you guys might know, I just talked briefly about some losses that have happened this year. Literally 4 losses this year in my life, and so much that went with that. Some people who went peacefully, others who it wasn't as peaceful, and it's a toll. So if you are going through something similar, especially because at the time of this recording, there have been many natural disasters going on inside the United States and outside of the United States. To my dear friends in the Philippines, God bless you guys, and we're praying and hoping for a quick recovery, for peace for your loved ones. One of my friends is out there and we didn't hear from her for a week, but we did hear from her eventually. So thank God for that. But everywhere around the world, it's a strange time. It's a time of celebrating. It's a time of saying, oh, new things. And yet there's all these other, natural occurrences or unnatural occurrences happening that remind us that, life is different for everybody. And also we ourselves are in a place where we can make a difference and help others. And sometimes, we get kind of rooted back to the meaning of life, right? The meaning of life and the meaning of what we do on this earth. So I'm just taking a moment to say thank you for taking the time for being here. That means a lot to me, and everything that we've done here at the How to Write a Book podcast. All right. So this is the year-end episode. We are wrapping it up for 2021, and for 2022, the seasons might look a little bit differently, especially because now we have other parts of the business that are booming, and the podcast might need to get shifted within that schedule. But what's really interesting about that is that's we're going to talk about scheduling. We're going to talk about, how to plan, how to make sure that your book fits into your life. Because that's one of the things that we do when we first start out with goal making. We say, I'm going to write a book in this year. This is it. This is the year I'm going to write a book. And we have it, like on a Post-it card, on our bathroom mirror, etc. But we forget to plan and prepare. And it's important to do that. And the reason for that is because we live in a world now where we are constantly bombarded by, a million different things. We have our phones going off, our laptops, our iPads, etc., our Apple Watches on our wrists. We are never not done. Everything is always going off all at once. So we don't live in a time where, you live in that cabin and you just go out to get the wood and then you can come back and work on your novel. We don't really live in that kind of time anymore. Now we live in a time where, you have to be doing a million different things. And no, you don't have to be doing a million different things. But I think that as culturally, we tend to, where we're like, oh, well, I need to do school and work and write my novel and also take care of my kids and also do all these other things and be multiple productive people. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, always make sure to keep yourself healthy, both physically and mentally. But when we try to undertake a novel, we suddenly feel like, okay, I'm going to write a novel. All right, that's it. I'm done. But when we go to, our kids' pageants, or we're planning a family party, or we're at work, we put some serious thought into what we're going to do. We think about the estimates, we find a deadline, we wonder, who's going to be involved, and what will the deadlines be per milestone, maybe per project. Also, what are some things that I can handle versus other things that I need to delegate to other people? There's so much that needs to go into planning, right? When you want something to work out, we plan. And that can be true for a novel. And now whether that's outlining it or just doing a whole project management on it, do tackle this with a new perspective, I believe. So when you're going to create your goals, keep that in mind. Keep in mind that if you are like a project manager at a company and writing a novel was one of the projects, right? You had to do this. You have to report it to your boss. You have to make sure it's good. Do the best that you can. And you're the only person qualified for this job. Then ask yourself, how would you prepare for that writing process differently than what you're doing now? Because those tendencies, those habits that you have to make something shine, which we tend to at work, we tend to say, oh, well, I'm going to impress my boss. I'm going to get that promotion. So let me put some extra grit into this. Let me really sit down and figure out where I'm going with this so I can make it shine. That same tenacity, apply that to your writing and take yourself out of the equation, make it a little bit impersonal instead of, asking yourself, well, how do I feel about this? Well, what about my success? What if I'm a failure? Which are all very personal questions. Become impersonal about it. Ask yourself, what are the deadlines? What are the milestones? What are daily counts that you need to keep track of in order to stay on track of this project? Be very almost like nonchalant about it. Like if it was somebody else's project, how would you help them out? How would you give them the numbers so they can be on the road to success without it making it full of feelings? And then when you go back into the writing, you can become totally full of feelings. Feel the characters, feel the environment. But when you're planning, try to make it a little bit distant. And this way, you're not worried about the nuances. You're not worried if oh shoot, I missed this one deadline on a Tuesday. Now my whole project's off. No, not really. If you were working in a company, you'd say, oh, I missed my deadline on Tuesday, but don't worry, boss. I'm going to work late. I'm going to get it done, or I'm going to finish it on Wednesday, So that is the kind of mentality that I want to encourage you to try as you start planning. Now, what did we do at the end of this year? Let's start with goals that we didn't meet. So as a writer, obviously I want to be writing all the time. And I only wrote 4 books at the beginning of the year. And that for me is like a fail, right? It's like, oh my gosh, that's the only time I was writing. I was writing throughout, but I didn't finish anything really after that. So that is something that I am now going to be changing. And as I did my 2022 planning session, and I did this under my coach, who you guys always hear about and love, Trish Blackwell. She had some guidance, and also some other habits that I had brought in from my past. I created a whole 2022 planning session, including writing. And now the goal is to create 3, solid books for next year. And when I say solid, I mean longer than I've written before. I've written 40,000 words, I've written 50,000 words for other people, for clients, etc. But I'm based on the topic of these, it's actually a series of books. They're going to be quite hefty. I'm thinking they're going to be in 70 to 80,000, which will probably be the most that I've written, in any project. I think even my last ghostwriting project was maybe 70,000, maybe 65,000, and that was a while ago, so I don't even remember. So this will probably be the heftiest of them. So that's the goal for 2022, but I've put in other steps and really broken it down as to what I need to be meeting every day and every quarter. All right. So that's what I considered a failed goal. But what are some of the winning goals that we did? Well, let's see. I got some pretty good wins with my clients. So one of my clients, she's more than halfway done through her thriller, her police thriller. I'm really excited about that. For another client, for her book launch, she earned almost $5,000 from her book launch. And of course, from here on out, any royalties that she's getting are going straight to her. And that's going to be compounded. So, in a couple of years, how much will this book launch and this book have earned her? Gosh, it's exponential, right? I love it. It's going to be really exciting. And I'm excited to check in with her and see where everything's going. But that was really cool. Like, she sent me the picture and I was like, oh my gosh, it's almost $5,000 from your one launch. And it was exciting. Oh gosh, I'm still reeling from it. I'm so happy about it. All right. And let's see, what else do we got? Celebrating our wins. We really expanded into production this year. We've made some really great contacts as far as where we want to be going with the next steps. And these are probably steps that are happening at the end of 2022 or more like 2023, 2024. And the reason for that is because we need to lay some more groundwork for the company. And it's very cool. It's cool to know that the roots are in. We are now making these connections. We have these connections. We're getting so much information about where do we need to go next? It's really exciting. And actually it's a little bit overwhelming too. Like, I have all this information now and I'm like, okay, well, where do I begin? What do I do? What do we do first? And let's talk about that in another episode, overwhelm, especially when it comes to like project planning and having your novel inside your life. But it's also exciting. Let's also focus on what's coming out of it, which is excitement. And let's see, I think my business grew by like 3 times the amount that's including writing, freelance, production and film, and getting all that into one. So that's been really great. Now, one of the things I want to encourage you to do is to look back at this year and celebrate yourself. That is important. It's important to let yourself know that you're doing great. You're doing way better than what you were before. If you haven't written a word, then tell yourself that, hey, I thought about it. I put that think tank on and I really mulled over this concept. I thought about it when I was about to sleep. I thought about it when I was brushing my teeth. I thought about it on the way to work. I'm really working on this brainstorming process. And what that's going to help you do is to kind of categorize your process. We're going to have a brainstorming process when it comes to writing. And then we're going to have a mind mapping process. And then we're going to have an outlining process. Then we're going to go for the writing. So tell yourself that you're almost done with this phase 1, which is the brainstorming part, in case you haven't written a word yet. Because if you applaud yourself, the more encouragement you're going to feel, the more success you're going to feel, and the better you're going to feel overall going towards your goals. And that's going to really push you forward. Now, in case you have written, but you weren't able to publish, first give yourself some grace and also some applause. You might have had a kind of a really upside down year, as we did here. And you need to give yourself that pat on the back just for saying, hey, I made it. I'm fantastic. I made it through. That's amazing. Like, if you consider life a game, you have just leveled up to the next level, the next stage. So good job, right? And then also look at those words and just say, hey, I did great. I did something. I moved forward. Perhaps we're in the planning stages. Maybe it's an extension of the brainstorming stage. Maybe it's some of the outlining. You are working on it, and that is fantastic. And if you need help, you can always email me, Maciel at blackheartedstudios.com. In case y'all don't know, I'm a book coach. So I help you guys when you have an idea and you just feel overwhelmed with where to go and what to do next, and you really want that book in your hand. I help people do that. I help them do that. So if that's you, please feel free to email me, and let me know where you're at. Let me know what you're struggling with. What have you worked on and it's not working just yet, and sometimes you just need somebody who has done the jump before so that you can jump too. Now, for those of you who have finished a book, oh my gosh, congratulations. For being a crazy year, you did it. That is amazing. That is fantastic. Make sure to celebrate yourself. Take yourself out for, some coffee or get yourself a new book. Come on, y'all. We're writers. We love the bookstore. We can get lost in the bookstore. I think I spent 3 hours in the bookstore the other day, and it was amazing. I just felt so refreshed. So celebrate yourself. Remember to do that, everybody, because if you don't celebrate yourself, this life is it's so short. You can just go ahead and remind yourself that you're awesome, because you are awesome. You are. All right, everybody. So that's kind of the end of the year podcast. Some things that we've done, some things that we didn't do. And you know what? It's okay. If we fail to do some stuff, let's get comfortable with that feeling. Let's tell ourselves, all right, now I know better. I'm not going to ignore it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to say, like, oh, well, if it was meant to be, it was meant to be. I'm actually more of an action oriented person. So it's like, okay, well then I can do better next time, but let's not stress over it either. Let's enjoy the holidays. Let's enjoy the time that we want to spend with our loved ones and going places where we have not been in 2 years, thanks to the pandemic, right? So enjoy this time and start thinking about what you want to accomplish next year. What do you want to accomplish in the next 5 years and where you want to be? It is about the journey. It's not about the destination. I am learning that. So I want to remind you as well, it's about the journey. It's about getting there. So working on it every day is going to create that contentness. All right. So as promised, it is going to be the new year, and that means that I'm opening up a handful of spots for new clients. So if you are ready to start writing your book, if you feel like this is the year, if you're like, I am done waiting, I am done overthinking, I am done having anxiety over this book, and you are absolutely saying this is the year, please email me, maciel@blackheartedstudios.com. That's MASSIEL@blackheartedstudios.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Maciel Writes. You can message me there. I'd be happy to help you out there. And this is the year. If you're ready for it, then you can finish it this year. You can finish it. You can publish it. I've done it and I've helped other people do it as well. So if you're like, this is what we're doing, I got you. But make sure to email me as soon as you can, because I'm only have a limited amount of spots. I like to really spend my time on my clients and make sure I'm giving them all the time that they need. So I really try to keep it at a minimum, just making sure that I can be there for them and not taking on too many people. So, I would say within the first week of January, jump on. All right. And also, I have created a free library on the website at blackheartedstudios.com. You'll find a tab at the top that says free library. It's going to be a constantly growing library. I'll add to it as the more that I create, but I want it to be a resource for you so that you can, even if you can't do the coaching right now, you can still get that and you can still have that momentum and those resources to move forward. So that's the free library at blackheartedstudios.com. Go ahead and check it out. All right, everybody. As always, remember to celebrate yourself. Remember to celebrate your writing. Remember to write, because writing is you. And y'all, we will see you on the other side. We'll see you next year. Happy end of year 2021 and happy new year 2022. All right. See you soon.
Hey there, writer. Thank you for listening to the How to Write a Book podcast with your host, Maciel Valenzuela. If you like the show, we'd be happy if you left a review. For more information on writing and the writer's life, go to www.themaciel.com. That's www.themassiel.com. We'll see you on the other side.